Hey crafters, this is Nye. So today what we're going to do is we are going to assemble our 3D flip-flop sandal box. All right, I'm going to be using my art glitter glue for all of my gluing. And as you can see, I have all of my pieces cut out according to how I wanted my box to kind of come together. These pink pieces here, these are going to be the top parts of my box. The two blue pieces here, these are going to be the bottom of my box. Then I've got my fun little pattern that I'm going to put at the top of my box for my flip-flop. And then I've got this little like flower that's going to go at the part where our toes would go. You'll see at the very end, okay? So with all of that, let's get started. So when we were cutting the file, you noticed that there were 5 score lines. One on these 3 pink pieces here, so these 2 smaller pieces and then the long side piece, and then a score line on each of my blue pieces, okay? So we're going to start with the blue pieces first because that's going to be the bottom of our box. And so you can see that this flip-flop piece here, it's got a little square down here in the corner, and that matches up with, I had it going the wrong way. This was my score line side. That matches up here with my little score or my little box here at the bottom of this side piece. And you can also see that I've got my vertical line here and then my horizontal line. And so all we're going to do is we're just going to start folding right on that score line, and we're just gonna kind of create these tabs. Sometimes I call them teeth because I just like to, and all we're going to do is just kind of fold there to kind of create that look. And if you want, what you can do is you can get your bone folder out here and you can just run it along those tabs that you created to make sure that you know, they're kind of defined. You do the same thing up here at the top. Hopefully I'm still in the camera. I probably went out, but that's okay. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna use my glue stick here. If you don't have a glue stick, you can use like a pencil, and I'm just gonna run it along here. Look at that, it kind of created a little line for me. And the only reason why I'm doing that is really just to kind of bend the paper here. Because, and you saw that I did that really lightly, but we just wanted to bend the paper here because if you'll notice, our flip-flop is completely curved. Like there is no angle here that we are going for. And so it's actually going to even be a little tricky for us to glue. Okay, so like I said, I'm using my art glitter glue. And what I'm going to do is the side of my flip-flop that has my score line here, that's the one I'm going to use. And I just had an extra thought because I didn't create little pieces for the inside to kind of cover up our tabs. So I'll probably, when we get to the end, I'll probably pause the video, go ahead, design that really quick, and then come back and add that in. But let's stay on task here. What we are going to do is we're just going to now add glue all the way around. We're going to glue these two together. And so I'm going to start here towards the bottom. I'm going to start about here in the middle, although I did just kind of go a little bit more there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up so that way like 2 of these tabs here are on the bottom part of this. And so I'm going to line them up so that way they just kind of hit that curve right there. Okay, and so you can kind of see it right there. And then I'm going to kind of bend the paper here with my finger and then just press that down. And I'm going to hold this here for, you know, probably about 30 seconds. And the reason why I'm doing this right now is because I want this part to kind of glue down a little bit. And I probably went over a little too far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up and I'm going to move it over just a little bit more. So that way it's a little bit more there in the middle. And then I'm going to bend the paper again. And so when I'm bending the paper here, I'm actually using my fingernail on the inside to push the paper in the direction that I want. So I'm going to do that part one more time. I'm going to let this sit here for a moment and dry. And then I'm going to bend the paper right there and just press this down. Okay, and then this is the hardest part, is really just trying to get it started right there. And the reason why is because when we come to the opposite end, we want to make sure that our tab is a little bit more onto this flatter piece here. All right, so I'm gonna kind of flip it there for just a moment. I'm gonna lift this one up here on this side. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add glue along the edge here. And as you do this, you're gonna find that it's very easy. And so I'm pressing here on the inside, and I'm just moving it there. And that part came up. So I'm just gonna go back and just kind of hold it. If you ever see the tabs coming up as you start gluing, just go back and then just press it down. And like I said, this is a really hard one because one, it's on the smaller side. And the reason why I designed it smaller is so that way we didn't have to connect two pieces of paper. So that's why this one's a little bit smaller. I had originally started it so that way the box was bigger, and then it just turned out to be a lot of pieces, and I was like, you know, this is a perfect one for us to use up a little bit of our scraps. And so I made it a little bit smaller so that way this side piece here that we're gluing, actually both side pieces, would not be on two pieces, but that they would just be one. And another thing too, today's the day to get the glue on your fingers, okay? Because this one is tiny and because of all the curves, we need to make sure that we're using a good bit of glue. And so that means we're gonna get it on our fingers here. And, okay, hold on a second. I had to make sure that part was going there. All right, so I've kind of come here towards the end. And I'm going to add glue. You guys probably can't totally see it there, but I'm going to add my glue along the side there. And you can see that I've got like this one tab that's left. I'm going to bend it right here so that way it fits onto that bottom part. I'm going to hold this here so you can see it right there. I'm going to hold this here for a moment because I haven't glued my tab, but I want this bottom piece to stay before I go and add the glue there to the tab. And it's not going to, but I do want it to stay. So I'm going to actually go back and add just a little bit more glue there. And then I will press them all down directly. And I'm actually going to put this one down on the table so that way I can get a better angle on it. And now I'm going to hold this here, and I want to make sure that this completely dries before I let go so that way it doesn't move. So I'm going to hold this here for probably about 20-30 seconds here just to make sure that the paper stays. And so once it does, you can see, there we go. It looks pretty awesome and I love it. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing here for the top piece. And so like I said, you're going to end up with glue on your fingers. Today is the day for it. All right. So I've got my two top pieces here. And obviously, you know that one is different. This one I think was, I can't remember what color it was inside the file, but it's the one that has the slot. And that was the one that I cut out on my patterned paper. And it was just a little tiny piece of patterned paper that I needed. But anyway, here we go. So we've got our top piece. Now, when we go to glue the side piece down, we need to glue it in such a way so that way it fits over the box here, okay? So you want to make sure then that you're not gluing the top piece on the top part here, but that it actually goes underneath. So I'm going to flip this one over that way. So that way I have my orientation correct. And now I'm going to do the same thing with this side piece here. And all I'm doing is, again, what we did before, just folding on those little tabs on the score line, just making sure that they are good to go. And then I will go back again and use my bone folder just to kind of press these down and make sure that they are good to go. I'm going to do the same thing up here towards the top and just like that, and that looks good. Okay, and then I'll take my glue stick here again, or you can use your pencil and then just kind of run this along so that way it curves just a little bit. Okay, so again, like I said, when you're ready to start gluing, you want to make sure that you've got orientation here. So I'm going to flip it over, and I'm actually going to, this one is going backwards. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to kind of come right here towards the middle, and I'm going to add glue, and I'm bending the paper. I'm pushing it on the inside here with my fingernail to just kind of bend that tab and to bend the paper a little bit. And now I'm going to add glue. I'm going to go out a little bit further. And then I'm going to press this down. And again, like I said, just smearing that glue in. And then working my way, keeping the paper right at the edge and right there. Okay, so now I'm ready to add a little bit more glue. And I'm going to keep working my way all the way around this side by just pressing it down and working right along the edge there. And again, if you run into any parts where it's not wanting to stick or it's starting to curve, just kind of use your fingernail and just push that paper until it curves the way that you want it to. So I'm going to add a little bit more glue along this side here, and then continue working my way along the side here. And now I've kind of come again once more towards this end here, and you can see that my tab is now on this side, so I'm going to add the glue here, and then I'll add it to the tab here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bend this right there and then fold it right there. And again, just kind of hold this here for that 20 to 30 seconds to make sure that it bonds. All right. And so once you have it, there we go. That looks great. You can even go right ahead and just kind of put this together just like so. And you can see it right there. It's already taking shape. So now let's go ahead and finish it off so it actually kind of looks a little bit more like a flip-flop. So we've got our two little side pieces here. And these are two, I don't know what they would call this. We're just gonna call it the kind of band. All right, so these little two side pieces, or these bands, they've got score lines on them as well. And so what we want to do is we just want to fold on those score lines, okay? And again, these are really tiny, and so you're going to get glue on your fingers as we glue this down, okay? Like I said, today's the day for the glue on our hands. Okay. So once you have it, you want to take your patterned piece that has the slot, and what we're going to do is we're just going to take one of the sides and fish it right through the little slot so it comes right out on the other side there. And then we're going to add glue right to the tab, and then we're just going to press that down. And you can press and hold this again so that way it dries, okay? And then you'll see that it's good to go. Then the next thing that we're going to do is we're not even going to really bend it. Just use your finger and kind of take the paper and just bend it towards the edge here. And you want to bend it so it kind of creates a little bit of this kind of like bubble. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add glue to that kind of little triangle tab there. And then we're going to just glue this down. And you do kind of want to take care that you're like not going all the way down. If you want, you can make it go a little bit further. So I just pushed that one down a little bit more. And you want to make sure that it adheres and it's bonded there. And then we're going to do the same thing now with the other one. Okay, and so for this one, you want to make sure that it's going the other way. So you're going to push this one through the slot as well. And of course, There we go. You can see it right there. And now we're going to add glue to that triangle. You see that was a lot of glue that just came out. Like I said, today's the day for the glue. And then we're going to fold this one, hold it there, give it a chance to dry. And then we're going to fold this one so that way it kind of lines up right at the other side here where it's aligned with the other band there, okay? And then we're going to take the same glue dot here, and then we're just going to press this one right down, okay? And then just kind of give it a moment to dry as well. And then we're going to do one more thing. We're just going to add a little dab of glue in there in the middle at the top and just kind of glue those together, okay? So that looks good. And there we go. Okay, so once you have that, and of course this one's coming up, so I'm going to add a little bit more glue there. I'm going to press and hold this one a little bit more so that way it bonds. Like I said, see all the glue on my fingers? Haha, today's the day. Okay, and once we have it there, we're going to just go ahead and we're just going to add glue everywhere to the back side here. And then we're going to take this top part and we're going to press it down kind of right over our flip-flop here. So that way it's just kind of like that little decorative piece of our flip-flop. Some flip-flops are multicolored, some are just all solid, one color. This is just a fun way to kind of make ours a little bit different. Okay, and then I'm going to press this part here in the center. And now we're left with kind of like our little bow or flower that goes towards the front of our flip-flop. So I'm going to add just a dab of glue right there in the center. I'm going to use my push pin that I used to clog my glue and just press that down in the center. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a dab of glue in the center and then a little bit to some of these side pieces. And then we're going to press this down right in the center here of our flip-flop. And all that's going to do is kind of hide a little bit of that meeting together for those two bands, okay? And that's it. And so very cute, right? Like this is so cute. And you could totally understand why I made it miniature because, you know, it's just much more cuter to have it this way, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna stop here for just a moment. And because we have all of the tabs visible here on the inside, I'm gonna go back into the file really quick and just design a little piece to cover these up. And then I will start the video again. All right, so hang tight for a moment. Okay, so here we are. And it didn't take long to design the two extra pieces that we're going to add here on the inside. And so what you want to do is just kind of go ahead, place it down, and you can see it's perfect. And then all we're going to do is make sure that your orientation is going well. And then we're just going to go ahead and add some glue to the back there. And then we're just going to press this down right there on the inside. And all it's going to do is kind of cover up just a little bit of those tabs. So that way it looks a little prettier on the inside, okay? We're going to do the same thing here for this one, and it just got stuck there at that part. You can see it just kind of covers up a little bit of those tabs. And then we're going to add glue here to the back again of this one. And then just place it down here on the inside, and that looks perfect, okay? And then you can go ahead and fill it with like anything that you want. I don't know, a little note or something. It would be great for like a favor for like a beach themed party or a summer party, or even like if you're having a summer wedding, like that would just be super fun and different. It's perfect, fits in the palm of your hand, and I love it. So thanks again for watching. I hope you guys enjoy crafting yours. So many possibilities, right? With making it all the same color, the different patterned papers. I mean, just a lot of options here for you. So be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and have fun crafting. Bye.